So Dennis, it's been like 12 years since Eternal Darkness came out, I believe.
Yeah.
What is it about the current gaming climate that says, hey, it's finally time to revisit, like make a spiritual successor in a sense?
Yeah, oh, that's a great question. I think many things. First, games like that just aren't being made anymore. We're looking at an industry, that's evolved to the point where we see a lot of really what I would call blockbuster action movie-like games. Yes. A lot of actions, a lot of spectacle, and they're very good at it. But Eternal Darkness, I think, is remembered for being provocative on the story level and doing things that just normally weren't done in games. And I think with Kickstarter and crowdsourcing and all of these new things coming out, there's a chance that we can actually create a game like this that's not typically created. And, certainly Eternal Darkness, when it came out, as popular as it was, did not sell 10 million copies. So the best way it's going to be made is through the proliferation of, Kickstarter and things like it. So we're taking a shot. It's something we love. It's something, everyone at Precursor wants to do. I've always wanted to do a follow-up to it. And we hope the time is right. We hope we'll get support because we need support. We can't do this alone.
Yes. So you mentioned that like provocative story, that's something that Eternal Darkness had, and that's something that you hope Shadow of the Eternals has. When most people think about Eternal Darkness, I think of the insanity effects, which was kind of like the thing that it did that was new and original.
Yeah.
And a lot of people kind of gloss over the historical body jumping story at this point. Like, for people who don't even remember that, like what was so evocative about that, and what are you trying to bring from that to your new game?
Well, I can answer that question on two different levels. So from a spiritual successor level, Eternal Darkness told a story of characters over 2,000 years of history where they were mortal trying to fight these immortal beings and these very great, prolific gods that if they came into our universe, they would destroy it. And mankind are like insects, and it's very Lovecraft. And so that, in a sense, it had a lot of inspiration from really two things. Resident Evil 2, which I loved, one of my favorite games of all time, where you'd see a story from different perspectives. Movies like Hero, the Jet Li one, the good one, where you'd see a story from different sides, and you've got a lot of flawed narrative in there, and you've got beautiful art direction. And then by the time the thing's all done, you've got this experience where you're just like, wow, that really came together well. That's one of the sort of spirits that I think we're trying to harness out of Shadow of the Eternals. The other, of course, is with the sanity stuff. The story with that's very, very interesting. Back in the day, I believe it was part work for the IGDA. We were looking at, do violent, video games cause violence? And we did research, and it was very, very clear almost right away that there was almost no evidence whatsoever, and any evidence that was being knocked around was just so tenuous that it was really, really questionable. However, it became clear it became a hot political potato, and people really, kept talking about it. So I was like, all right, well, if people think games are messing with their heads, let's really mess with people's heads. Let's try to do it. And so that was the whole idea of these sanity effects, and where we went with it, and plus it really tied in with Lovecraft, of course, and all those kind of things. So we'll be bringing that back as well, breaking the fourth wall, really having people question what's real and what's not. I think that's a level of entertainment because of the interactivity and because of the interaction that you have with video games, that something that we can do significantly differently than other forms of media, which is really exciting. And you really have not seen anything like that in so long. And it's not because it wasn't popular, it's just, it just doesn't fit the mold for the AAA blockbuster titles, and it's really, really hard to do with massive amounts of teams because you have to integrate everything at a certain level, and maybe it's better for a smaller team. Maybe the way that we're approaching it is one of the most optimal ways to do these kind of things, because you really have to have a design from the ground up that really works in with all those things.
So you do talk about the small team, and right now it's like under 10 people at Precursor, and it's going to expand if the Kickstarter gets funded. But the game looks like a AAA game. Like
Thank you.
How is? Yeah, it wasn't like a flattery thing. I mean, it looks like it's really good looking.
Thank you.
Like how are you going to deliver a game that looks like this level? You're making a CryEngine 3, which is one of the best around. How are you going to do that with so few people? Like is it possible to even deliver that kind of end product?
I think so. Well, what you're looking at there is a labor of love over the past 10 or 11 months of us working together and working on all that stuff. And we're certainly, to be clear, we're going to be doing it with more than just us. We'll be contracting out with some great groups. Lemon Sky is one of them that we worked with in the past, and probably some contractors on cinematography. So as an example, I don't know if you ever saw a viral video we made a few years ago called The Goblin Man in Norway. Jay Cheel, he's doing a lot of our videos for our Kickstarter, but he also, if this takes off, wants to work with us on some cinematography. But he's a director for documentaries. He doesn't want to do this full time, but he loves the stuff that we're doing and wants to participate. And then, of course, we've got the Order of the Unseen, which is the community creating content. Okay. So we actually have a lot of people creating stuff. It's not just us. So that's how I think we're going to do it. And certainly the CryEngine 3 has really showed us that that you can do this stuff with not 60 or 100 or 200 people. And it's a really powerful engine, and at the same time, it allows, you're going to laugh, so the particle effects, I worked on those. So, and a lot of people wonder, well, what my role is and stuff. So I worked on particle effects. I did some of the Flash work for the interface. I'm not very good at Flash, but I was able to, wander my way through it and get it all done. And we're all at Precursor doing different jobs. It's not, I guess when you get to a larger company, you get specialists that I do textures. Well, it's not that way. Everyone does anything that they have to do, whether it's writing AI or doing things, and that's what these small teams call for. And in a sense, it really is a way of doing games where everyone's a part of it. You don't feel like you're a cog in a wheel, you feel like you're a creator. And I think that brings a special love to it. And I'm seeing the difference now. Hopefully, people, when they're looking to back the project, will see that. We're really excited about it. We need the support. Hopefully that comes through.
Yeah. So when you released Eternal Darkness, it was before Resident Evil 4 came out. And Resident Evil 4 kind of changed everything forever, basically, because now there's no such thing as survival horror for AAA games. It's action gothic, basically. So is your game going to follow like in a post-Resident Evil 4 world, or is it going to kind of ignore that happen and just like, hey, we're going to go back to the roots of the genre?
I would say we're going to ignore that happened. And the only reason I say that is that what happened there is you have large teams checking off checklists in order to sell millions and millions of copies that fit within the AAA marketing mold where they can have flashy commercials. And we're going to rely on popularity and word of mouth that, hey, this is a cool game. And, for the first 6 months, when I remember when Eternal Darkness launched, drove us crazy. Everyone said, oh, that Resident Evil clone. And then every time someone said that, well, you didn't play that. Have you played it? Because it's not like Resident Evil. It is a horror game, but we made all kinds of mistakes. Even then, we made all kinds of mistakes. It was a terrific game, but the first demo we showed had zombies in it. I don't want right now any zombies in Shadow of the Eternals. Zombies, I love zombies, I love The Walking Dead, but man, there's a lot of zombies out there right now. So we'll do different things with cultists and whatever comes up. And but at the end of the day, we want to create something that's unique, because this is about doing something different, not about doing something. And it's not, I guess, I'm a huge fan of the old survival horrors. Resident Evil 2 is still one of my favorite games of all time. Still think about it, still think of all the great things they do. And I'm looking forward to hopefully a refresh of harkening back to some of those games that we can maybe see. But Shadow of the Eternals is going to go in a direction that's its own. So we'll see where that leads.
So now you're an indie team, and
Yes.
you're trying to get crowdfunding. Are you trying to appeal to everyone in this huge market, or are you just trying to appeal to like the Amnesia crowd?
If we try to appeal to everyone, it's just going to get watered down and go back down that AAA chute, and it's not what we want.